There we go. Technical problems. Always technical problems. Let's have a look. Let's have a look who's on. Real thing. Michael Askew. Laura. Kane. How are you? Wait, Kane. We'll just give it a few minutes. There's 8 watching now, so it's all good. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting chat, this. Really interesting. All right, Laura. So this guy went to prison on April the 5th, 1984. Since he's been in prison, we've had 7 presidents in the US and 9 prime ministers. It's crazy. When he went to prison, the modern internet as we know it had just started. And after he'd done 20 years in prison, the first Apple iPhone came out. He's done 13 more years than Nelson Mandela. He was inside during the Iraq War, ISIS invasion, the Arab Spring in Egypt and Syria. Gaddafi got overthrown. 9/11. That was nearly 30 years into his sentence. Amazon didn't exist. eBay started in 1995. Facebook started over 20 years after he'd been inside. Twitter, Instagram. It just doesn't, you just can't comprehend the length of time that is. So he's basically, he's gone to prison when I left school to start my adult life. And he's basically been inside for the length of my adult life and comes out close to retirement. Now, I bet you're all wondering, aren't you? Who are we going to bring on? Are we going to bring on a psychopathic mass murderer? Oh, dear. He's walking out into a completely different world. It will feel like an alien planet. Well, we can ask him this. I've got lots of questions, and I'm sure you lot have got lots of questions. But should we bring him on? Just let me share this picture with you, actually. And I want to ask you a question, right? Let's have a look. Window, is it that one? This is our man when he was going into prison. Now, what do you think that look on his face says? Somebody's told me that they think it's fear. Somebody's told me think he looks absolutely crazed. What do you all think? Put it in the comments. How do you think this guy's feeling by this picture? And we'll ask him about that picture after. What do you think, people? That he was shafted. Scared, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, let's bring him on. Let's learn all about it. And I'm sure you'll be surprised about this guy. And he's got an amazing story. So let's bring him on. And there you are. Tony, can you hear us? This new technology is not sort of... Tony, come on, you're on. Can you hear me?
You all right, mate?
You're on.
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, and I can hear you, and everybody can see you now. We're all on the stream, so we're here.
Yeah.
So people are saying hi, Tony. Bianca says hi, right. Tony. I pulled that picture up of you, and people said...
Hello to everyone.
People were saying that you looked scared. Is that what was going through your mind when that picture was taken? Tell us all about that picture and when it was.
That was taken on reception at Latchmere House when I got there I got arrested on the 5th of April, 84, and I went to Latchmere House in Richmond, Surrey on the 6th of April, 84, and I was I was shocked. I was in shock because I'd only nicked a milk float and items off of it. So I was sort of shocked as to how comes I'd been remanded for such a, what is a relatively minor offence. So I'd never been away apart before then, so I've never been in any sort of custodial setting. I was only about 4'11" at the time. 4 foot. I know I was just short of 5 foot. I did obviously look younger than my 18 years as well. And at that time, I sort of believed all the rumours you hear about prison. So, I think it was probably a mixture of shock and fear.
So let me get this straight, Tone. Let's just clarify. So you went to prison. You started because you stole a milk float.
Yeah.
That's what you went to prison initially for. That was the crime.
Yeah, youth custody. I got 14 months. I got 6 months for for the theft of the milk float, 6 months for theft of items off the milk float, and 2 months for breach of probation, making 14 months youth custody. Yeah,
right.
That's what I started at. That's what I started with. Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit first before this. I mean, where were you born? Where were you brought up?
Well, I was born in Hackney, but then I was raised, either at home or in foster care or care. And that was sort of all over the southeast of the country. So there was never one particular area I grew up in. I was sort of like moved around quite often.
So, I mean, are you okay to talk about why you were in foster care?
Yeah, I was deemed beyond parental control.
Right.
My dad was abusive physically. It was a very violent man. He didn't really take to me. He was violent to all of us, but more so towards me because I was the eldest. So, the social services on numerous occasions felt for my own safety, I had to be removed from where he was.
Right. Are you still in touch with your what did you have, brothers and sisters?
Yeah, no, I don't talk to any of them.
Right.
My brother's a grass, so I don't talk to him at all. My sister, she stuck right up herself. I had nothing to do with her. I've got another sister who's got motor neurones disease, so she's obviously in the last stage of that, but I don't get to talk to her. I've got some friends that I still talk to, and there are some other relatives I talk to, now and then. But my mum, she passed away in August in a fire. My dad was found dead in his house in November. He'd been dead for a few days.
So, oh God, so your dad really didn't have anybody around him then, did he? So he paid the price for his abuse, didn't he? Really, in the end.
Yeah, my mum and dad, it's only my opinion. I didn't really have. I had no time for them, but likewise, they never had time for me. So I never really knew them. I never got them. That senior come up there.
Yeah, I know Tony personally. His story is incredible. He's a wonderful person.
Thanks, senior.
Why? I mean, why are people saying you're a wonderful person if you went to prison for 40 years? You must have been a real bastard. Let's move on. You stole this milk float. You stole this milk float. Why did you steal the milk float in the first place, actually?
Well, I stole it on the 1st of April, 84, which is April Fool's Day. So it was taken for an April Fool's trick. It wasn't, we wasn't stealing it. We took it from one side of the flats, ran to the other side, and we took stuff off the milk float and stacked it on a wall. But unfortunately, the way the law sees it, I took it, so that's theft. And taking stuff off of it is theft. So they charged me for that.
Yeah. Right. So you got 14 months for a bit of bravado, a bit of a laugh. I mean, I've done daft things, and I've not been caught. But so you go to prison, you're in the system. How does it progress?
Well, I went back to court in February 85 and got another 18 months added on for other theft offences I'd committed whilst on bail. And then they in June of 85, my cellmate that I was in with, he attempted to hang himself, and I attempted to assist him in attempting to hang himself. Once I'd found out what he was in for, then there was no. For me, I couldn't care less after that. You know what I mean? You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, you want to hang yourself, you hang yourself. All I did was attempt to assist someone in a suicide. There was no intentions on my part to kill him. I only went along with what he wanted to do. Once I thought he had succeeded in what he wanted to do, I rang the cell bell and the screws come. And eventually, you know, they come in and they took him down. I was moved elsewhere. And later that night, I was put back in my cell. And I never see him again. About a month later, I was done for a minor assault on one of the screws, and I was put in a block overnight. When I come out the next morning, they put me up onto D-Land. I was in Chelmsford at the time, YOI, and I'd been in a cell overnight, and a few people I knew had come to me and asked me why I was in with a bacon, like a nonce. I said, I'm not. I said, he's in for killing old Bill. I said, that's what he's in for. And they, when he ain't, he's in for rape. And then they sort of like told me a little bit about what he had at that time alleged to have done. So once I found that out, next day he was on a visit, and I went through his locker and I found his legal papers. So I started going through his legal papers so that I could sort of satisfy myself that he was what they were saying, and it did. It confirmed what he had done. So from that moment on, it was just a matter of him being on borrowed time. So I made preparations. I got some lines made up. I made some weapons up, like with wood, with screws hanging out, you know, protruding from them. When he came back from his visit, that about 4 o'clock, we were locked up at 5. And about 8 o'clock that night, I sort of like kept the conversation small with him, because of now I know what he's done, but I also don't want him to think that there's any sort of issue. So once the screws had gone off for the night and with all our doors are locked up, I said to him, look, I said, you know, we've played a couple of board games that you want to play. How about playing one of my games? So he said, well, what does that entail? I said, well, look, we'll tie each other up and see how long it takes to get out. Now, my reasoning behind that was that when he had done what he had done to this young girl, one of the things they'd done was tie her up and left her in a position where she was vulnerable. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to put you in exactly the same position you put that young girl in. So I let him tie me up first to win his confidence. I said to him, I can't get out. So after about 5 minutes, he let me out. And I asked him to show me these knots he was putting on me. That's these slip knots. So he showed me how to do that. And then I proceeded to tie him up. I blindfolded and gagged him. And then when he couldn't see what I was doing, I made sure that the chair was tied to the side of the bed so he couldn't get away from that. And then I got my big weapon out, and I lifted his blindfold up and I showed him it. And I said, for what you've done to that girl, it's now time. Basically, I said, it's time to die. And I just set about him. So, you know, I've repeatedly smashed him around with a wood with a screw hanging out of it. It got to the point where I thought he was no longer. I thought he was dead. So I rang the cell bell, and I was standing in front of the observation panel. And then when the screws come, I said, get this piece of shit out of my cell. And I moved back so they could see. But then as I moved back, I heard him groan. So I thought, well, it isn't over. So obviously I proceeded to attack him again. they come in. I was forcibly removed from the cell, and I was gone, so I didn't see them attending to him. They took me straight to the block. A couple of days later, the police come to see me, and it's when they were speaking to me, they asked me if I'd done anything like that before. I said no, I hadn't, because I hadn't. And then they mentioned the first one, so I ended up getting interviewed for what that was at that time 2 attempted murders. I was eventually charged with 2 attempted murders, and I went on trial at Chelmsford Crown Court. That lasted about 9 days. I pleaded not guilty, and I was found guilty. I was remanded for reports, and I went back, and I received a life sentence on each offence with a minimum term of to serve 11 years for these 2 attempted murders.
So that means 11 years for both of them?
Yeah, because what it is, you can't run anything consecutive to a life sentence. Whereas if you've got a sentence of like 5 years and another 5, they can run it consecutive. So I'm effectively doing 1 life sentence with 3 concurrent, because nothing can run. So the 11 years basically was, that was a minimum term that I would have to serve before parole would be considered.
See, the thing is, I mean, it's not in your mind. What's going through your mind? Do you feel like? I mean, I know there's a hierarchy in prison, and some people have like Rogers says here, not sure legal papers prove anything. I mean, did you find out whether this guy was what you assumed he was?
Well, it stated in the papers that he had, him and 4 others, 5 of them, dragged a 15-year-old girl from a bus stop, tied her up, repeatedly raped her more than once on each of them, and then inserted a knife into her bum and left her over the weekend. There's no ifs or buts about what was in that paperwork. So to come out with that it's out of bollocks, really. No, that the paperwork was quite clear in what he had done.
But you see, the thing is, I mean, how do you feel about that now, looking back?
It's done. I can never change what I've done.
But do you look back with regret for them, or do you look
Not
back?
at all.
Do you look
None
back?
at all.
Okay, and let me put it another way, Tone. Do you look back with regret that you spent so much extra time in jail because of that?
The regrets I've got, that I see a lot of my family and friends die while I've been away. I see a lot of my family, split up. My relationship with my family suffered terribly. I've done a long time. I missed out on a lot. Would I do it again? No. But I've always lived by that. Regretting something's never going to change what you've done.
No, of
course. It's a matter of learning from what you've done and making sure that it don't happen again.
I mean, you see, the thing is, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who they go like, oh man, he's taking the law into his own hands. He shouldn't do things like that. But then they'll go and break laws in other ways, and they think, oh, it's all right for me to break a law because it's not as bad as what he's done. But there's no difference. If you break the law, you break the law. It's always the same. But you got 11 years for that. How did it turn into 40 though? This is what I'm struggling to understand.
Yeah, because then what happened after that? My mindset was, well, okay then. I hadn't at that point, apart from a couple of skirmishes with the screws, really done anything to them personally. So when they stood in the witness box watching me be sworn away, for a life sentence, I thought, right, if that's the way you want to play, if you want me in your prison system that bad, then be prepared for what you're going to get, because I ain't going quietly, and I certainly am not going to be broken by you, and I certainly ain't going to be beaten. So my mindset was that I will take the fight to them. If you want the fight, then I'll bring it to you. and then I'll suffer whatever comes my way. So that was my start. So obviously I started committing assaults on staff on a regular basis, which resulted in me moving around a lot.
What age were you at this point, Tony? Sorry to interrupt. What age were you
Yeah,
at this point?
22.
22. So you're still quite young, and
Yeah.
it's escalating quite quickly.
Yeah, it did. It escalate in a matter of years. It went from, because I started my violence. I'd never been violent outside before, so I started being violent in 1985, and up to the point of 1992, that was it. In them few years, that's when it was at its worst. It sort of started slowing down after about 92. But
you're a young man, you went in for a prank, you got exposed to some really horrible people who made you feel that bad that you felt you'd do what any of us would do, if you met someone like that who'd done that to children. Personally, you've done what any of us would have done at the drop of a hat, put in the same situation. And I'm not surprised that you put in that system and then you're going to kick back at it, especially when you're in your mid-20s. Wow, I can't even imagine being banged up at that age.
So they exposed me to it. I didn't put myself in any way, directly or indirectly, towards them people that they exposed me to. They chose to put me in a situation where I was going to react. I can't say it was they done it deliberately. I don't know, but I said they put me in a situation where there was going to be a reaction, and they got a reaction. When they didn't like the reaction they got, they now help convict me and get me life sentences. So my mindset was, okay, then you're gonna, for whatever you keep me in, you're gonna suffer me constantly. And it did. I ended up going on to get another 2 life sentences. I was in Full Sutton, and there was a disturbance there, and one of the staff was stabbed with a kitchen knife. So I was charged with that as well. I was also charged with taking a hostage. And when the screws come in, unfortunately, the hostage received a facial injury resulting in the loss of an eye. So for each of them, I got another life sentence as well. But they increased. But they kept increasing my tariff. So my tariff went from 11 years to 18 years, and then to 22 years.
Fuck. How did you feel then? I mean, what?
I'd give up.
Was it just like literally a vicious circle? Is like the more they pushed you into this, the more you reacted, the more time you got. And I mean, the prison system's changed since the 1980s, right?
Yeah.
You had slopping out at them days, didn't you?
Yeah.
So people who don't know, who were born like after all this, you used to have like a bowl in the cell or a bucket in the cell where 2 or 3 guys would shit and piss in, and then in the mornings you'd take it down and pour it down a drain. That's what the prison system was like originally when Tony went in. They didn't they didn't segregate nonces then in prison at that time, or
no, rapists, wherever possible, they'd slip them on the wing. Just say, listen, if anyone asks you're in for robbery, if anyone asks, you're in for this, that, just don't tell them what you're in for. Child molesters were as soon as they got to reception, it was an instant segregation. They never got the choice. They was segregated there and then. But rapists and the other people that abuse women or murder women, some of them were slipped on the wing. If they were found out, then they were dealt with appropriately and they were got rid of. Obviously, that ain't the case now. They're on there freely. But yeah, they were only segregated if they asked to be segregated, or their cases were high profile. So when they went on the wing, people were going to know who they were. So then obviously they didn't have that protection.
Wow. So you started calming down in about 92.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything after that?
No, I carried on assaulting screws. but the frequency of them, whereas like there was like sometimes 2 a day, 1 a week, couple a week. I sort of slowed it down, so I was only assaulting them as and when they, as far as I was concerned, as and when they deserved it, as opposed to when I thought they deserved it. So if they would aggravate me, then I would assault them. Whereas before, I would assault them whether they aggravated me or not. I sort of stopped overnight, really. You know, when I come to the realization I was getting nowhere, and I was going to go nowhere, and then I just thought, I spoke to some of my mates and that, and I said, I've had enough. I said, that's it. I'm done. You know what I mean? I lost a few friends over it. Obviously, they weren't really my friends because they thought that I'd lost my bottle. But I try to explain to people. I said, like when you're sitting constantly, year in, year out, in a 12-by-7 empty room, locked in on your own, and you've got no company. I said, but all yous are up on the wing eating, having association, and reaping the results of what my behaviour and people like me are winning for you. I said, it's a sort of kick in the teeth that I'm sitting here on my own. And I said, I've had enough. I've had enough of being in the block all the time. I've had enough. If I'm going to, because I didn't think I'd ever get out. So I thought, if I'm going to stay in jail for the rest of my life, I at least want my quality of life in jail to be somewhat better than it was. And I didn't see that sitting in a segregation unit constantly, year in, year out, was really, it weren't really a life. No, in prison it ain't a life, but at least it was better and preferable to what I had in the block. So I did lose a lot of friends, but I decided that was it, enough's enough. And I made that decision, and I did. In 2007, I just said that's it, and I won't assault no one again. And I have stuck to that since that day.
Do you think you suffered any mental health issues yourself? Did you not suffer? Did you suffer depression, or how did you deal with it mentally, or did you never think about that?
No, I've been diagnosed as having no mental illness. They actually got a personality disorder, but I'm very strong-minded. I'm determined. Once I set my mind to something, then it's hard to get me to sort of back away from it. And I had this inbuilt ability to. I could suffer pain a lot. So no matter how many beatings I got, I would endure it in silence and take it. So, anything they threw at me psychologically, they could lock me in a room and leave me in a strip cell with nothing on for days on end, or for months and months without a radio or books with the lights on, and I would just deal with it because I could switch off from whatever they're trying to throw at me to break me. Because all that was in my mind was, these are here because they want to break me. They want to beat me into submission. They want to hear an apology, and they ain't getting any of that out of me. So my mind was constantly looking for ways to get back at them. So you didn't really have, and because you're kicking off every 5 minutes, you never really had a chance to sit there and dwell on your circumstances and the situation you was in.
Kane says Kane's under house arrest. He's been grounded by his parents, Tony. So he feels like he's in a comparison with you here. But he said, did you ever try to escape? And I don't know whether he's trying to escape from his house or not. But did you ever think or try and escape?
Yeah. We, me and somebody that was, I don't have nothing to do with him anymore. But we tried to escape from Gartree. That was the hostage situation where I got another life sentence who lost his eye. We'd made a key, and it actually worked. So we was able to get out the first security door. But what we didn't realise at that time is once through that security door, you need another key. It wasn't one key that kept opening the doors. So when we got into that, Yeah, well, we got into that area, and then we were stuck. We couldn't go any further. It's gone pear shaped. All the screws have come down. So although we tried to get out, we know it was unsuccessful. That was shortly after the helicopter escape in Gartree as well.
I remember that.
So Gartree was quite an easy touch then. But apparently, up until that point, nobody had ever got out of Gartree. So we give it a good go.
How did you make the key? Tell me how you made the key. Oh, you stopped a bit there.
So I take it he's trying to escape out of his bedroom.
Yeah, he's trying to escape out of his bedroom. But I don't think you heard me question then.
No, we didn't. It was made elsewhere.
Right. Right, gotcha.
So yeah, no, we didn't make it. We had it made. Yeah.
You're breaking up. Oh, damn it. It's like his Wi-Fi's. What do you think so far, guys? It's like, it's another world, isn't it? An absolute another world. I'll just hope his Wi-Fi comes back on, or he puts his, I'll just message him 1 second. Bang some questions on, people. Oh, he's popped back on. There we go. He's back.
Yeah, no, yeah. we never made it. We had it. All we had to do was get the impressions of it and the description of what the key looked like. So that was just a lot of that was trial and error. It was a matter of getting to see the key, and then getting a print of it, which we managed to do, and then it was actually made for us elsewhere.
Right. This is what I wanted to talk to you about, right? Because this I love this. I love this fact, right? So you did 40 years, right? Okay. So this guy
39 years, yeah.
This guy here reckons that he's the longest serving prisoner, right? Charles Bronson. They made a film about him, right? And you've met him. Yeah. Tell us about Charles Bronson.
I met him as Mickey Peterson. He actually got out of prison in 1987. I'd done about 3 years by then. And then he got out, and so then he come back in about 6 months after on another sentence, not the same sentence he's been out. So he come back in on another sentence, so started effectively from the day he come back in, which was about the end of 87. I met up with him a few times, because you tend to find when those that are kicking off tend to keep being moved from seg to seg, so you always meet up with each other. So I've met him on the wings before. So I've been on like an ordinary location with him, because I was a bit miffed about the 36 years in solitary confinement, because I've been on the wings with him where it ain't solitary confinement. And the last time he got out was in 1992. And again, he was out for about 6 months. And so his sentence he has been away a long time, but this time around, he's only been away since 1992, which I don't think even adds up to 30 years yet.
Lewis, no, this guy what was he called? Peterson, Tony. What was he called?
Mickey Peterson, yeah.
He was called Mickey Peterson, and he changed. He was billed as the most violent prisoner in England, right? And he changed his name to Charles Bronson. And they actually did a film about him, right? All about him. And he's supposedly the longest serving prisoner. Whereas Tony here is saying, no, that's not true, because he got out twice. Whereas Tony's done a continuous imprisonment. I mean, it's not a record we should all think to go for. Like, it's not a,
no.
You know what I mean? But it's some of the guys that Tony's met over the time is like, it's just amazing, and that's what we're getting into. But no, it's not the actor Charles Bronson who was inside. It was he's changed his name. I think he's called Charles. He's changed his name to something else now, after a painter, one of these painters, Dali or something like that. I think he's changed his name again. So yeah,
when I got out in January, I was recorded when I got out in January as being the longest serving prisoner on a life sentence, not in for a murder or terrorist offence.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And do you know what? Really, it really fucking annoys me because there's so many people who go to prison for, like, the guys who killed Jamie Bolger, right? They got out. They got out. I mean, all right, they were young, but they got out, and then they end up back in prison again. And people have done way worse things and been out and had the rest of their lives. It's just like, just doesn't make sense, this system at all. It really
The
doesn't.
one I tied up and battered, he was doing 8 years for that. He got out. He then in 2000, he was out and he raped and murdered a woman and got a life sentence. And he still got out before I got out, and that's on another one. And he had done it twice.
Yes, Kane, I have been arrested several times, but all for minor stuff: harassment, alarm and distress, theft. What else? Assault. That's it. That's all. That's all I've done. That's all I've done. I can run faster than Tony. That's why I've never been caught. My getaway car wasn't a milk float. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not the quickest vehicle to get away from the police in. So tell me, which other high-profile prisoners have you bumped into in there? Did you ever meet the Krays?
The Gay Twins. Yeah. Well, I've met one of them.
Did you really?
I met one. I met that Reggie Gay. We know him as the Gay Twins.
Yeah.
So I've met him. I met him briefly in Gartree. I'm not really keen on him. He was a bit snide about me in his book.
Because you read his book?
Yeah. Well, what happened to when I went to Gartree, apparently it was a good jail. Not that any jail can be really good. And after the hostage situation, the jail went into virtual lockdown. So he put in his book words to the effect of the prison service have yet to receive a satisfactory answer as to why that psychopath was running around the wing taking hostages. So, I don't, considering what they were allegedly doing when they were out on the streets, I don't think he's got any room to talk, really.
No, I mean, it was only like giving people wide smiles and shooting people. It's like, yeah. This is the thing, though, isn't it, Tony? It's like we sort of, like the Krays, they were made to look like larger than life characters when all these people really were evil, nasty bastards, with this sort of front that they did. They go around to businesses and take money off them, hardworking people, and say, right, give us some money or we'll smash your place up. It was like, it's a really strange situation, isn't it?
It didn't bother me if whether it didn't. If I was messing their jails up, it didn't bother me. If people didn't like it, tough. You do your bird your way, and I will do mine. If it messes your routine up, tough. Don't come to jail if you don't want your routine to be messed up. So nothing put me off. Even friends just said, "Come on, Tony, just calm down for a little while. You'll have it goody." And I was, nah, I'm off, and that'd be it. No one's ever sort of like, I've been in a few books where they've sort of slagged me off because of my behaviour. Because as far as that is concerned, I'd caused the prison system to make a lot of changes because of what I was doing. So
for the worse, you mean?
Yeah, it didn't go for the like used to be able to. There's a certain thing like when you in high security you could cook. Once I stabbed the screw with a carving knife, that was that the knives got taken out for a while. Then when they come back, they were shortened down. Wings started getting more strict on the use of tools. So all the sword, because you'd be able to go to in the high school. You could go at one point in the 80s. You could go to the ops, get a saw out of hammer, screwdriver, and do your sell up with the like, bits of shelving and that. That all stopped over it. So a lot of people were not happy that I couldn't give a shit really. I've done my bird my way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you were kicking back at the system, mate, and it's. I mean, I'm never ever going to say what you did was great. It wasn't.
No,
You hurt people. Those people had to go home to the families. And like
yeah,
some guy's gone home to his family, and like all I did was go to work, and I've come home with like an eye missing. It's like it's.
yeah,
But again, on the other side, you got to look at it from both sides. You're this young guy. You're exposed to these people. You're put in a system. You're exposed to violent people, and you're indoctrinated into a way of thinking. You're in a system where you've got to fight, or you've got to stand up for yourself, or you get abused, you get beaten. You can't show weakness. It's enough to make anybody go absolutely fucking nuts, and I just can't imagine you know being in that situation myself. I just really can't imagine being in that situation myself.
yeah. I don't justify in any way, shape, or form what I've done. What I've done was, some of the things I've done were outrageous and they were wrong. And I do look back on some of the things I've done and thought, maybe that was a bit uncalled for. But I've never looked back on any of the sex offenders I've attacked and thought to myself, you know what, I wish I'd never done that. Because as far as I was concerned, I'd had justification for doing what I did to them. But obviously, I've assaulted a lot of screws that, they never personally done anything to me. One of their mates the night before may have said something, but for that one unfortunate person, he's the one that's got to open my door in the morning, and he's the one that's getting it. They created problems for themselves, the screws. They didn't. They created more problems than they solved. They're quite of them. They're a bunch of bullies, and they're all right bringing it to us. But when it's brought back to them, it's they don't like it.
And of course, there's corruption in prison. Of course, there is.
Yeah.
Of course, bullying goes on. Of course, there's backhanders going on. I mean, I don't know anybody. People I know lots of people who've gone to prison and everything, and they're having the life of Riley. They're sneaking phones in there. They're putting posts on Facebook of the drugs that they get taken in. You're not going to get drugs taken into a prison unless you've got the some of the screws in your pocket. You know what I mean? It's like it's just the prison system's bad anyway. And of course, there's going to be bad ones, But what about the later years before you got out? I mean, do you think it's changed for the better? I mean, what if you were coming into this system now? How do you think you would have gone down the route you've gone in if you'd have come into the prison now? The system, do you think you would have been in with those kind of people anyway in the first place?
Yeah, if I'd not knowing what I know now,
Yeah.
if I was just to go back in today, never have been away before, and the same situation present itself, because of how I feel about certain individuals, then yeah, I would be straight back into the same situation. Obviously, with hindsight, I look back on it now and think, well, if I went back now, would I do what I did again? Then no. But the system now. Hello. One second. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've just got to open the kitchen door.
Listen, any questions, people? Any questions? I'll ask him a few questions now. 40-year-old vegan for exposing hybrid turkey farm, the largest breeding operation. You'd be classed as a terrorist, won't you? 40-year-old, and you got arrested. We ended up with a 3-year peace banned, and a 1K fine each, 7 of us. Wow. Probably far less corruption in prison than out of it. Maybe. Hang on, Tom, I've muted you. Hang on a minute, why can't I unmute you? 1 second. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, there you go, you're unmuted, Tone. You're right, pal. Can you hear me okay, Tom? Tom? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, right, there you go. You're very good at doing that silent stuff, I tell you. Right, okay. Kane's like preceding me here. He's like, tell me the story getting out of prison. Right, okay. Here's a nice question. I've asked people to give me questions for you now. We're going to ask a few questions. What was the nicest thing anyone did for you in prison, Tom? Oh, I can't hear you. Tony can't. Oh, no. Right, start again, Tom, because I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Tony? Right, let's try that. How's that, Tony?
I can see what's the nicest thing anyone did for you in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. God, I think your internet went a bit dodgy then, but we're all good. Oh, he's gone. Oh. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can get him back. He'll come back. The thing is, he's in a transit house, and they only put the internet on for a few hours for some strange reason or another, and he's had to get special favor to get the internet. The internet doing its thing. Yeah, exactly. The point is, don't give up exposing animal abusers. Correct. Oh, he's back. Let's see where this works now. Boom. That's better. You look better. Okay, so yeah, the question was, what's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for you, Tom?
Countless times when as prisoners, everyone has this idea outside that we're sort of all callous, heartless, got no feelings, but that couldn't be further from the truth. If you have any sad things happen to you when you're in jail, people passing away or you're feeling down, you've always got your mates and even strangers walking by. They'll ask you if you're okay, check up on you. When your birthday comes, there's always cards going around the landing. Even people that don't know you are signing cards wishing you happy birthday. You get presents and that parties are thrown for you. So, prisoners, they're some of the nicest people you can probably meet. I think the nicest thing that did happen to me, and I have thought about it a lot over the years, and it does sometimes concern me that I've thought so much about it. It was actually one of the staff that actually that done the nicest thing for me. I was on a road at that time to destruction and never getting out, and I was taken I was in the CSC at the time, the close supervision centres, and I was taken to the cages in Wakefield. It's not a cage as portrayed by certain individuals in books and on the telly. It's the same as an ordinary cell, but the inner door is a cage door, and the outer door is a cell door. And simply because of that cage door, they call it a cage, but it isn't. A cell's not a glass box. It's not a cell made with all bars around it. It's the same as any other cell, but it just has two doors on it. So I was in there, I was in a body belt when I got there, so I managed to get that off my body, but
It's not going well, this is it. It's not going well at all. Some of the most awesome animal rights activists I've ever known spent time behind bars. We aren't allowed to hear about the nice things in prison. We're not. Let's keep trying him. Let's see if he gets on. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to chat about him coming out of prison. And then we're going to talk about how and why he went vegan. And to do that, we're going to bring somebody else on. Oh, he's disappeared. Gary, you asked you did time. Yeah, 40-year-old vegan got actually done for not doing anything, but just thinking about doing something. That's what he got done for, thinking about doing a crime, about to do a crime. I didn't think that stood, especially in Canada. I thought Canada was exactly the same laws as over here. But whether we're going to get Tony back, I don't know. I'm going to bring my other guest on now. Hey, Lara. Oh, she's disappeared. She's disappeared now. What's going on? Oh, now she's back again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, there you go. What are you looking
Well, I
at me like
don't
that
bloody
for?
know. Do I? That's what I'm asking. Like what for?
I'm just talking about 40-year-old vegan's conviction because he got convicted of he was going doing a meet the victims. He was going doing a meet the victims, and he got the police actually got wind of it somehow. If I'm telling you this right, 40, you can correct me. So they actually arrested him before he committed the crime. I never knew that you could actually do that. It's like me thinking, I'm going to go out and put some windows through later. And then the police come and go, oh, we're going to put some windows through. We're going to arrest you for putting windows through now. What?
Yeah, but I haven't done the crime. Yeah, but you were thinking about
Thinking about it,
So
yeah.
prevention is better than cure.
I wonder if Tony can get back. It's a shame that. I wonder if Tony can get back on with his let me try and ring him. See if I can get him. That's a shame.
That's crazy. Oh, that's so annoying. That's
I know.
so annoying.
I'm just getting to the crux of it.
I think his internet did really well.
Yeah.
I know. Just getting your teeth into it. Oh, man.
No, it's not ringing. Come on, ring. No, it's not ringing on that. Let's try WhatsApp. Let's see WhatsApp. If not, we're just going to have to tell the story for him, aren't we? Basically.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ringing on WhatsApp, but whether he'll get it or not. Because I'm wondering if he's turned his Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, go on, Dan.
You can get your data thing on as well as your.
Yeah, they're both on.
Right.
Yeah, Dan, they're both on. But my Wi-Fi is showing full bars. My 4G's on.
Right, just try and hit that link again and come back on. You should be able to come back on.
Right.
All right, buddy.
All right, mate. Back in.
That's so mad.
You know, this day and age, why can't people get access to the internet? It's just crazy. He's in a place and they don't put it on till 10 o'clock at night. Why? What's the point of that? How can you search for jobs? How can you sort your life out when the Wi-Fi doesn't come on? And he's paying for that.
Danny is lucky. We had dial-up.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, dial-up, unbelievable.
Might as well not bother, honestly.
What was there? I got a warrant tapped a phone, and the rest is history. They got a warrant to tap your phone? Really? Oh my God.
What?
Internet should be a human right, correct, Big
Internet
Spoon
should be.
Bear? I'll
Yep,
send
I
him
agree,
that.
100%.
I'll send him that link again. I wonder if he's hitting the wrong link. Because it's not showing up on my... It's not showing up on WhatsApp, look.
On his, he's not on.
Oh, if he was online, he'd be online, wouldn't he? You know, I'm sending him that.
Yeah.
And it's not showing up at all, so I don't know what's going on. I remember the many years before the internet. Yeah, I remember the many years before the internet as well. It was like you had to sort of
I do.
ring up and say, is Spider in? No, he's out somewhere. Then you'd have to go for the wandering around to all the local haunts. Oh, we have him back!
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh,
Right, Tony.
Yeah, okay. It keeps going off.
yeah. That's why we're going to have to move it
It's not your
a bit
fault,
more.
mate.
We'll do another one of these when you get set up in your own home and everything.
Yeah.
And you get sorted. But
When you got
right,
fibre optic.
yeah. Let's move up a bit. So, Tom, tell us about you. Tell us about you. The build up to you getting out. What you had to do a parole hearing, and then tell us about how you felt when you found out you was going to get out, and tell us what the process to that was.
Now, first of all, I had to come off the K, then I had to go to B, then C, then open. And then once I got to open, I then had to start having town visits. That's like they would take me on town visits and sort of like show me how to use money, how to use my phone, how to cross the road, how to use a bank, make applications, use a bus, train. So everything that you do normally in a day-to-day, you don't take a notice of, to sort of learn again. And then I've done about...
How did the world look when you did your first town visit? Was it a shock or what? What was going through your mind? Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Faster.
It was a lot faster, noisier. There was a lot more people, rude as well. You know, people didn't, you know, they'd bump into you. You wouldn't get an apology out of them. There seemed to, it wasn't that hard to sort of get used to being out there. It was all the little things that I struggled with, like stepping off pavements or stepping up pavements, because in prison it's all flat. So you know you forget little things like that. So I end up tripping down pavements, tripping up them. So when I go to cross the road in prison, like you've got no cars, you just walk straight along. So I was just used to walking. So there's a few near misses where I nearly got sort of knocked up in the air. Children were quite strange because I've not seen anybody other than on a visit. So to hear them making all their noise was a bit unnerving. Yeah,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, and you see them running round, and they're
all
quite
like screaming and shouting, and
yeah. You don't see it, so you don't hear it. So all them little things that
it's not normalised to you.
No, and it. But when I was watching them people doing it, to me, how I was coping with it was normal. Their way of life, as far as I was concerned, was no longer normal. My life was normal and theirs weren't. And it, you know, shopping was quite difficult because I went to Burger King. Like when I come away, there was no £20, 20p coins. There was no pounds or £2. We had £1 notes were just being phased out. So I went to Burger King and I ordered some food and that. And I remember she said to me how much it cost. I said, I'm really sorry. I said, I don't know how to work it out. So I just threw my money in the I said, please. I shoved it all over to her.
Oh.
I said, just take what you need. You know what I mean? And she sat there, she went, right, this is a £2 coin. That's a pound coin. That's 20 pence. And, you know, like 5 pence, they were bigger. There was a half-p when I was out.
Yeah.
That's gone. You know, and she never robbed me. She actually gave me my money back, what I was entitled to. But
And she explained what coins were what and how much they were worth.
yeah, I think it was quick. I think it was obvious to who I was, because she obviously, I was on the Isle of Sheppey, and they have a lot of dealing with prisoners on day release there. It was strange, but it was like I hadn't been away. It's hard to describe. You know, even though I'd been away all that time, it was, once I got out there, it was like I hadn't. You know, we drove there in a car.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, well, we were driving there in a car into the town centre on the Isle of Sheppey, and I was fiddling around with the door. And he said to me, "What's the matter?" I said, "Listen, I'm not being funny, Ross." That's the member of staff to me. I said, "It's really hot in here." I said, "Where the bloody hell's the window winder?" He went, "The what?" I said, "The winder, so you can wind the window down." He went, "No, no." He went, "Press that button there and the window will automatically go down." I went, "Oh," I said, "When I was out, you had to wind the window down." So it was not, the big things really weren't an issue. It was all the little tiny things that come along with it. All the
technological type things.
Yeah. I stroked a dog for the first time in, nearly 40 years. And it was, I had tears in my eyes when I had the first bath. It's always a shower, so them little things that you think, oh, I've really missed that. And it weren't as hard to adjust that I thought it would be. And I had 3, they call them steers. That's when the screws go with you and you get like 4 hours out. And I was supposed to do 9. And after my third one, they said they put it to the offender manager, said, "Look, he doesn't need it. We've watched him." They goes, "Had you not known how long he had done, observing him in the community, you would not be able to tell. He fits back in." So they terminated me being supervised after 3 of the 9. And then I had my first one, and I was able to go out for 9 hours on my own. So they dropped me off in the town centre at Sittingbourne. And at Sittingbourne, because I didn't want to get lost, there's one road, it's about 2 miles long. So for 9 hours, I actually just walked up in every shop, looked around, come out, next shop, and I've done it all the way up and all the way down for 9 hours. Had some food, used my phone, spoke to my people, and that took photos of where I was. And that was the first time I'd been on my own, not having someone looking over me. So that's that was strange, the first one. And then after that, you get them every 2 weeks. So the more I had, the more I got used to being in the community. And I had a lot of them. I've lost count of how many I had. And when it got to the point, I said, "Look, we now believe that you are now ready for your next step. So we're going to start sending you on home leave." But I couldn't go home, so I had to go to a hostel in Maidstone. So I went there for the first time so I get a train now. And this time I could stay out all night if I wanted to, up to 11 o'clock at night. So I'd go out for 6 o'clock in the morning, shopping, getting something to eat on my phone. Some of my friends come to see me, some of my family come, so I spend all the day with them. Go back there overnight, and I've done 2 lots with 3 nights. Then the rest of them after that were for 4 nights. So for 4 nights and 5 days, I'd stay out away from the prison. I had no contact with the prison whatsoever, and I got used to being more independent. And then I went up for my parole in July, with a release date for the 10th of September. But because the probation service had not prepared their reports properly, it got adjourned. So I went back up in November, and I got a full recommendation from everyone. They said, look, the risk I pose can be now managed in the communities. That has been demonstrated by the amount of times I've had on day releases and home leaves. By now, I was working outside the prison in a charity shop, where I only dealt really with the community, members of the community. So there's a lot of good positive feedback. The old bill said that they had no concerns. So everybody recommended my release, and I got that. I got the answer in the end of December, just after Christmas. And then I got my final from the Ministry of Justice Parole Department. They ratified it and they let me out on the 10th. And I said, my mate said to me, goes, you can go to sleep tonight. You're not going to go to sleep tonight. I went, oh, I'll go to sleep. And I never. I cleaned my cell about 5 times and about 10 showers. I left. I was to clean, and in the morning, I was all ready to go. And in the morning, I remember I kept going to the officer, look, can I go now? Can I go now? And they said, I'm not called for you. At 10 o'clock in the morning, they said, right, attempt to come over reception. You can go. So I went over to reception, rushed through that, and that was it. I got out of that jail as quickly as I could on the minibus and went.
As quick as
you didn't want to get on gate arrest, whatever happens. Fuck.
No, they have to notify you. Then they turn up. But it was
gate arrest.
Yeah, they got to notify you. Can't just turn up. They got to tell you. Yeah, but I went because we was driving along in the van.
Who's that there? What's this?
That's the day I got out. That.
Look at that, a free man. You look half happy, half confused, and a little bit stressed there.
Like,
no, my hat was tight because my hat had shrunk, and that's the only one I had. It was January, and my head was cold, so I had to put that one on.
Oh, bless you.
When we were driving to Basildon, that's where they put me in a place in Basildon, Essex. Because I said to the driver, pull over. I'm going to go and get some sweets. He went, I'm not allowed. I went, yeah, you can. I'm in the van. He went, no, I'm not allowed. I could get recall. I said, yeah, but you can, but I can't. I said, I'm out. I'm free, mate. Pull that van over. I'm getting out. And so I ran into the sweet shop. I got some wagon wheels, which I've not eaten for years. So I jumped back in the van. We drove to Essex. And I booked into the hostel, and that was it, me gone. And I just sort of like, I spent 3 months in the hostel. With absolutely zero support. Everything that they promised the parole board would be available to me to help me readjust, not one thing was available. The only support I had was from one of my best friends, and that, she really helped me a lot. I only met her, just after I got out. So she was the one that was my main support. And she was sort of she guided me back into being a normal person outside. She would tell me where I was going wrong because there was nobody else to tell me. Some of my family were letting me down, but I also let them down as well. But she was sort of like basically my guide to what it's like to being a normal person free in the community, because I didn't know, and I made a lot of mistakes in that, but she'd say to me, try this next time, try that next time. Have you, spoke to this person, that person? But she also see the little help that I was getting, so the more she see the little help again, she sort of steps up the amount of support and help she give me. So it, together, we've got me through the what was really the most challenging times for me being out there the first 3 months.
Right. Now then, we're getting on a bit because we've been on for over an hour now. But right now, this is the bit you're not going to like, Tony. Right?
Yeah. Look at Noah's face.
So people, right? So people. So Tony gets out of prison after 4. Yeah. Tony gets out of prison after 40 years. Like, he's the most violent prisoner in the UK. He's done longer than Charles Bronson. Yeah, he's beat many a people up. He's had a crazy life. He comes out. He's finally released. He gets in his digs. He gets his phone. He learns about the internet. He learns about TikTok. He gets on TikTok, and what's the first thing he does? You keep out of this, Tony, now, otherwise I'll mute you. The first thing Tony does is start trolling fucking vegans. Over to Laura. Tell us all about it.
Oh, bless you, Tony. Okay, so what happened was I was just doing my usual activism. I'll try not to be too cruel, Tony.
No, be cruel.
Yeah, I was just doing my usual. No,
I'm only joking.
Just do my usual activism videos here, there, lives now and again. I don't go live very often now because I just get banned all the time. So I just think videos will potentially reach more people. So anyway, I was doing my videos on all different areas of veganism, all different sorts of animals, and and I just came across this comment, one of many. If you're on TikTok as a vegan, you'll know what I mean. One of many trolling comments. I can't remember exactly what was said, but it said something like, oh God, I haven't really got time to respond because I'm just cooking my bacon sandwich, or I'm just something like double egg and bacon sandwich with all the trimmings all day long, or something like that. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that's meant to do, because as vegans, we know that 95% of the population eat animal products and eat animals and their secretions. We know it's around us all the time. We're quite aware, we know when we're sitting here now as vegans that animals are screaming for their life, basically, for an unjustifiable reason. We're more than aware, and that's why we're vegan, because we don't want to partake in that. So I just said to him, I was like, well, first of all, I apologise myself. I did call him a knob, because I just sometimes I put up. I'm the friendly vegan, and there's only it gets to a point where you can't. It's so difficult to be friendly all of the time, and sometimes you just want to scream. So I just thought knob. Do you remember that, Tony?
Yeah.
Did you see that comment? You did?
Yeah. All of them.
Not vividly. I mean, oh God. Yeah, so I put knob, and then I think you said something else, I can't remember, something to back up your comment. And I said, look, why are you putting silly comments on my videos? It's just silly. Like, let's have a discussion about it, because to get anywhere in life, I think, if people don't understand it, we need to talk. If the other participant is willing and able and they want to talk about it, then that's what you need to do. It's all about education, and it's natural, as frustrating and as annoying as it is, it's natural to a certain degree, natural human behaviour, as far as I'm concerned, to mock people, to take the piss. If something you don't understand, you're going to take the piss. I took the piss out of vegans. Danny took the piss out of vegans.
I did. Guilty as charged.
We've all done it. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I thought they were extreme and all the rest of it. So I messaged him and I said, have you got Facebook? We can message on there. And he said, unfortunately, I don't have Facebook. But I said, well, take my number. Please take my number. Let's have a discussion. Calm, civilized, adult discussion. And that's what we did. So I explained to him. He said that you're pushing your views onto other people. I basically don't think it's right what you're doing. You're pushing your opinion. That sort of Nazi regime where it's sort of your way or the highway sort of thing. And I was like, my friend, I'm afraid, as I was, and everybody who was, unless you're born vegan, you have been conditioned to believe and to think, and it's so normalized that we need to use animals for everything, for food, for clothing, entertainment, products. I said, and good people like yourself have been told humane lies. And, you know, I'm sorry that that's happened to you, but, you know, I was the same as you. You know, I believed that lie. And I believed the humane myth as well, that, you know, animals are killed humanely, you know, and that we need to eat animals to be healthy. And, you know, all the, and you know, I'm sorry, but you've been lied to. And people like me and millions of other vegans across the world, if you're an activist, we're here to tell good people that I'm really sorry, but you've been lied to for all this time. And this is the reality of what you pay for. And I think you need to know, you know, I think it's your right to know. If you're funding something, you've got a right to know what happens and where said products come from.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I'd want to know where my money's going.
so what was the reaction, Laura? I mean,
It was.
oh, he's gone again. Oh, he's back again. He's like,
Oh
I'm sure.
no!
I hope he's not like disappearing and ringing his mate saying, get up to that Danny Shepherd's house now and do him over. You know what I mean? Oh, he's back. Shit.
Oh shit.
What was it? What was his reaction? I don't think you'll mind, Tony, if she mentions your reaction. Okay, so what was his reaction, Laura?
His reaction, to be fair, was really positive, and he said that I am, you know, I'm very open-minded. You know, please basically put forward your evidence, and I'm willing to hear your side of you know, of what happens. And I said, okay. I appreciate you, you know, giving me the time and listening to me, because you know, we know as vegans, it doesn't matter how you deliver the message, whether it's softly or you ram it down people's throat. They've got to be ready to hear the message, and it doesn't matter how you deliver it. If they're not ready, they're not ready. They're just going to shut off, you know, regardless of how you say it. And yeah, he was very open and honest. I sent him Land of Hope and Glory. I sent him Gary Yourofsky's Greatest Speech You'll Ever Hear. I sent him a couple of Joey's bits and pieces. And he actually, he watched them all, bless him. He watched them fully, as far as I know. And he responded in between each one I'd sent him. And he was speechless. And I got a bit choked up listening to it. He couldn't believe what happened to animals and what we do to them. It's just awful. He said, I had no idea. I said, but this is the thing. This is the thing. You're not meant to know. You're not meant to know. That's why the business is as rife and as profitable as it is, because good people are told humane lies, you know, and they have been since time began. But you know, it's us now as vegans who are then telling the truth. Now we're speaking up. We're saying, actually, it's not like that. It's like this. And I think, you know, as I said previously, you have the right to know. You know, you've been lied to. Call us extreme or whatever, you know. But when you discover the truth, as Tony has, I think it's like, hang on a minute, I've been lied to by, you know, my parents, unknowingly to them, because they were lied to as well. We've been lied to by GPs, you know, everybody really, because they probably don't know either. So everyone's sort of going along all on the same boat, thinking, you know, this is the way it is, this is the way it has to be. And it's not until somebody exposes what happens, like I did with Tony, that, you know, people go, whoa, what? No, it's vegan propaganda. And I think this is why people say it's vegan propaganda, because it's so unbelievable that it has to be propaganda, because that would never happen. whether it be in the UK or anywhere else in the world.
And Justin Viola says it great. Says he requires balls to witness the evidence. He chose truth and kindness over ignorance. Yes. Very strong character trait. Thanks for that, Justin. And over to you, Tony. I mean, so you've gone vegan because of the treatment of animals. You're not under no illusion that veganism is not just a diet or anything. You went vegan because you saw what happened to those animals. Tell us a bit about how you felt about it all.
Yeah, I did. When me and Laura spoke, I did say I would keep an open mind. I'll be honest, I didn't think my mind would stay open. I thought to myself, I was still thinking it's a load of bollocks. This, you know what I mean? It's still an opinion being forced on people. But I'd given my word I would keep an open mind, so I did. And then the videos started coming, and I started watching them. And it was, for myself,
all legal standard
why didn't
practice,
I know this?
I might add.
Yeah, why didn't I know this? And the reason I didn't know it is because in jail, for most of my years up until 2007, I never had a telly. So I wasn't exposed to it. So I didn't get to. You don't get social media. You get the odd program on about abattoirs and all that, but they're all by BBC, and they edit what they don't want you to see and let you just see the things that they want you to see. Yeah. So I was completely oblivious to it.
Yeah.
But even in prison, I used to mock vegans. Some of them were friends and that. So it would be in a light-hearted way. But obviously, that's how I assumed it was at that time. I've been on vegan diets in prison because, like, you can go to some jails where you can get just the vegetables and the fruit, but you can still buy meat at the canteen. But so there's a few perks to being a vegan. So you was never actually a vegan, just down as a vegan diet for the perks. So I knew I had some sort of idea what it was about. And then so I think it was a double egg, sausage and bacon remark that sort of. The thing is, I didn't deliberately look on Laura's page. I was just going through, and it come up. And what I tend to do on TikTok, I do put my own up where I aim it at I target a specific group of people, and my focus is on trying to raise awareness of what their activities are. Yeah, there's quite a few in there.
So this is your TikTok page, Tony.
Yeah.
3,091 followers. You've got more than me. That's just really pissing
How the hell?
It's got like 70k likes. It's like, who says crime doesn't pay? It's like, what the hell?
Grumpy, he's got me and you combined.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, I know. We see that. I aimed it at a specific group of individuals for what they're doing to women and children, so I can highlight what's going on and bring it. There's quite a few of us that do it, so that's where I aim it at. So I was just scrolling through, and now and then I'll come across something and I'll just put a little snide comment on it just for a laugh. And that's what happened with Laura's. Yeah, and I did. I writ it, sent it, and moved it on. I thought nothing more of it until it came in my inbox about being called a knob, and it sort of took off from there. So I did watch the videos, and I thought to myself, why in 57 years that I've never been made aware of this? Why have I not been made aware? I could justify why I'd not been made aware of it for up to a certain period of time, but then I thought, once I did get telly, once I did get my phone, why wasn't I watching it? And the truth was, is because I wasn't interested. It was only when Laura started sending it to me, and I'd open my big mouth at that time and promised to be open-minded, that I had to see it through and watch them. And and when I did,
it's a hard watch. It's not easy.
Yeah. No, and I think the first one I see was the
hard. Jesus, you feel physically sick and.
Yeah. It was difficult, and I've always been one of these people that don't like cruelty to animals. But then again, I didn't look at like animals that are bred for food as being anything other than that.
Cool.
Cats and dogs are pets, cows and sheep are food. So to me, there was a distinction.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a distinction between the two lots.
Yeah,
but when I
it's
see
called
what they were,
speciesism.
when I see what they were going through,
speciesism.
I started to think, well, hold on. Okay, I make a distinction between pets and food, but then you've got countries that do eat the animals that we consider pets. You know, so I started looking at things quite differently, and the more videos I watched, the more I got more disturbed that I found it, and it didn't take long, because after that, every time I sort of went to cook my food, when I was like getting the meat out, 'cause I was still eating it, it was all I kept getting in my mind was the images of these animals. They weren't killed humanely; they were gassed. I think one bloke hit one with a pig with written with shovels, kicking them, punching them. And for me, it was a bit too much. And I thought, look, can I make a difference? Probably not, but I can still play my part and cut it all out. You know, so I did. I went. You know, as I told you, so I did go to my fridge. I looked at it, and I did look at it and think, you know what? Should I just eat it all? And once it's gone, I thought, well, no. Well, that defeats the object. So I'm sitting here saying to myself, I don't agree with what's happening. Just sling the stuff out. I've still got loads of vegetables here. And that's what I did. I got rid of all my meat products and my dairy products in one night. And I've not had one regret ever since. Nothing, because I can look at myself and I can look at what I'm getting on when I eat my dinner of a night. I can think, well, there's nothing on my plate that was murdered to feed me. You know what I mean? Am I going hungry because I'm eating vegetables? No. You know, I went out today. I got some soya milk and I got my TVP, my textured vegetable protein. I found it. And you know,
It's a G, honest to God.
It is. When I first ate it, it was quite bland. Then I realised if you cook it with things, because I was cooking it separate. If you cook it with something, so my diet is exactly the same, but there's nothing murdered in my bowl. You know, that's the way I look at it, and I can rest easy with my conscience, knowing that okay, I can't change the world, but I've changed myself, and you know, that's one less animal murdered for me.
And you see, the thing is as well, Tom.
You can only control you.
Yeah. And, I mean, I didn't go vegan until I was 49-year-old, 48, 49, because I didn't get exposed to it. Like you, I didn't see it. And I've always been a person who stands up for the weak. And it's just, I mean, I know we've talked about what you did to those guys, those pedos in prison, but pedos are exactly the same. I'm going to get grilled off me ears for this, but it's exactly the same. They pick on vulnerable kids, the vulnerable. And what we do to animals is exactly the same.
Weak,
animals
defenseless.
Are vulnerable, weak, defenseless, and we're standing up for them. But there was one question you asked me, Tony, on WhatsApp, and I said, listen, let me answer that question on the stream, because other people might want to ask this question, but might feel a little bit dumb about what the answer is, about asking the question, right? And you said to me, I've got some leather shoes. What shall I do with them? Okay?
Yeah.
So here's my answer, okay? Right? Behind me is a leather sofa, and I bought that before I was vegan. Right, and I get slammed for it all the time. Anyone sees it, oh, look at the hypocrite. He's sat on a leather sofa and he's talking about like not all this bullshit. Now, it's completely up to you. If you keep your shoes and wear your shoes till they fall to bits, then bin them, then that's fine. You are not a hypocrite. Yeah. If I know that's cow skin, right? And some vegan gatekeepers might say to me, oh, well, if that was a human slave skin, would you still be sitting on it? Well, if human slave skin was a common legal thing that you can buy all over the UK, then yes, I would. I wouldn't see it as weird, and I still don't see it as weird, although I know what it is. So I would say to you, mate, is make your own decision on that. If you can handle people saying, oh, you're a bit of a hypocrite because you've got leather shoes on, but you're calling for animal abuse, and you're saying you're vegan and all, if you can ignore all that shit, keep them. It's down to you and down to what choices you make.
Even though it's not right, the damage is done, and it was pre-vegan. So
the thing is, what I say to people who come up with this bullshit, you know, the vegan gatekeepers, is like, well, if you're going to go down that road of telling me that I should get rid of that sulfur and put it in landfill, then you must never ever get in it. You must never ever get in a taxi with leather seats. You should never ever go to anywhere that sells animal products. You know, don't ever get on a plane that uses animal. If you're going to be that fucking picky, you know. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Tony's transformation here, and that's the answer, mate. Is you do it the way you want to do it, you know. And you've gone vegan for the right reasons, because a lot of people, mate, think veganism is a diet and it's all about, you know, and it's nothing to do
welfare.
with that.
I've had welfare today. Oh my God. But I treat my cows really well. I said, I'm sure you do, because it's in your economic interest. But it's not right. It's
one thing I have noticed, I'm a baker by trade, and one thing I've noticed that since I've become a vegan, I'm now an unemployed layabout who sponges off society. When I actually that put me further for the show. I think
it is true. Vegans don't have jobs.
Yeah, I think the words were, "You're just like all vegans." Yeah, you do get it, and you know. And the thing is, when I started getting trolled off, you know, it was only because when I heard Laura talk about it, because she was, you know, had it been somebody else that had said to me about it, but it was she was so passionate about the welfare of not just the animals, but because I didn't think bees and other things come into it. All, you know, I got told all about that and about milk and dairy and all that. And I think that's what really made me sort of sit up and think, okay, go give her a chance. Let her say what she's got to say, then draw my mind up. And but a lot of people know that I'm now a vegan. So when I go, you know, if I go and speak to them, or they're cooking something, I always say, I'll make sure that you don't put any of this in there, because Tony doesn't eat any dairy nor any animal produce. So people, I can't say that I haven't.
He's off the tit now. Deliberately. He's officially off the tit.
Yeah, but people do. They are. I've noticed that they are more. They don't put any of that into. Yeah, do a separate saucepan on that, because Tony's a vegan now. You know what I mean? I'd rather, I'd rather not be, because a vegan, it's only a term, but it's sort of, it's not what I am. It's just, I just don't want to eat something that's been tortured, murdered, or had things stolen off it, like it's milk or basically it's honey, when it don't belong to us in the first place. It belongs to them. It's like we're saying about I think one of the comments I think you made was that the skin looks better on the animal than it does me. I think someone made that comment, and it does. You know, it's not supposed to be on me. It's not supposed to be in me. You know, we haven't always eaten meat.
Yeah,
you know, there was a point where we were just basically like plant eaters. You know, and I've looked at some of the videos that Laura sent, and there's plenty. You know, because Laura's quite, you know, she's into all her running, isn't you? And well, Laura doesn't eat dairy or meat, and she's fit, and all the other videos I see are the vegans that are really fit and healthy. So you don't need a meat diet or any dairy diet.
That's never. But listen, one thing I wanted to do for you. I mean, this will go, Tony. Once we've finished this stream, it will go on my channel, and people can watch it. They can click on it and watch it anytime they want.
Yeah.
So while I'm on, I'm going to shout out to people out there, you people out there. If any of you watching this who run a vegan food business and need a vegan baker, right? Tony's your man. Is I think you're down in Peterborough.
You can even do shoe pastry.
You can do vegan shoe pastry. Vegan shoe pastry.
It can do shoe pastry.
I'm coming living at Tony's. I'm coming
living.
You do need the eggs. Yeah, you can't eat it.
You can make what's that stuff you can make that they normally make it out of egg whites, Laura? You whisk it up and bake it.
Pavlova.
Yeah, you can make that. You can make that out of
meringue.
Meringue. You can make that out of chickpea water.
All
Tony.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aquafaba, oil.
You know, tins of chickpeas, right?
7-Up.
Yeah.
You empty the chickpeas out, and the juice that's left inside, it's called aquafaba. And when
Right.
you whisk that up, it goes like that. It goes exactly like that.
Right.
Instead of using egg
I like-
whites.
Same
So
texture,
meringue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no
So-
cholesterol.
Do you know what? Yeah. There is a lot more variety without meat, without meat in your diet than there actually is when you've got it.
Yes, of course it is, because we used to the 4 same fucking beige-coloured pieces of dead bodies, and we
Yeah.
have a few veggies every
Yeah.
single week.
Chicken,
My
beef,
diet, yeah,
pig. Yeah.
mince meat, yeah, spaghetti bolognese. I've had spaghetti bolognese tonight, amazing, with black beans and lentils. It's amazing. It
Yeah.
looks like, oh man. Oh,
Goats.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you decided to troll Laura, Tony. I really am. I really am.
Yeah. So, works out right in the end.
And I am. It doesn't
And-
happen very often. I think a few people have seen the light, probably 4 or 5 maybe, in the time that I've been on TikTok.
Yeah.
Doing activism on TikTok. But yeah, I mean, yeah. It can be hard work sometimes when you're battling against the tide. But, when good people like Tony come through, you're like, it's
So
worth
let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
Tony. Let me ask you a question now, mate. Okay, so the future. Now I'm assuming that you're an ex-animal abuser. You don't pay for the oppression of
I was as well,
animals
Tony,
anymore.
don't worry.
Okay,
Yeah,
you don't pay for the.
yeah.
You're not part of it. You're going to be outspoken about it. You're not going to go back to being an oppressor, are you? Or what will stop
no,
you ever going back? Tell me how
No,
you feel
never.
about that.
No, I would never eat meat. There's no way that any dairy or meat would be eaten by me. That's just it's not an option. Now I'm actually happy with my diet as it is now. I don't need any dairy or any animal produce in my diet anymore. So no, I wouldn't be going back to it. No, I don't miss it.
What about speaking out about it?
Yeah, I've got, because of where I've been, I have to be careful in how I word certain things so that they don't misread or misquote anything on me and say that this is what this means. I have to still be careful. So I tend to find out, keep my TikToks on the animal abuse issue, just straight to the point, but without anybody being able to, in authority, without them being able to misinterpret or misrepresent anything I say, then have reason then to say to me, we're not really happy about that. So I have to at this moment in time sort of like really restrict on. But then that's not just on. That's on all my issue I raise. I have to be aware that there's certain things that can sort of raise eyebrows with me, and there's certain things that I can actually put up. So I try to sort of put the message across, but not in so forceful a way that people will say, "Oh, then is this a bit aggressive?" This.
Yeah, right. So what I was going to say to you,
Yeah.
mate, is I do understand where you're coming from, but I would say to you, I don't expect to see loads of posts and loads of vegan stuff going up at the moment. I would say to you is sit back and settle into your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I would say
Absorb it in.
educate yourself, watch vegan activists, listen to what they're talking about, get it in your head what it's all about, and don't feel pressured to start campaigning or doing anything like that. I would personally say, because you've only been out since January, mate.
Yeah.
I would say to you,
Yeah,
is
you're trying to adjust to life.
adjust to life and just enjoy life. And I don't expect anybody, not anybody in the comments, to expect you to be like walking around town going like that. It's like I wouldn't expect that from you, and I don't think anybody expects that from you. While we're on it, it's the last 10, 15 minutes we're going to chat now, guys. If anybody's got any comments or questions for Tony or Laura or me, bang them in the comments now, because we will wrap it up. But yeah, mate, it really is an amazing story, buddy. And all due respect
It is
to you,
awesome, isn't it?
if I'd have gone through the life, going through my life has fucked me up, and I've been on the outside. But to go what you've gone through, mate, and come out the other side, and to be sane is an accomplishment. And then
I think
to turn
insane is more to the point.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think insane is more to the point. It gets easier with the right support. When I was released, there was a lot. Like I said, there was a lot of things promised. That there is actually nothing available. So I was a bit disappointed that, I'm not a risk anymore. Obviously, I've been deemed not a risk, but it's the probation leave me to my own devices, and I'm happy with that. But the fact that none of these things are in place that were supposed to be out of me to make sure that everything was running smoothly, I could be up to. I'm not, but I could be up to all sorts of no good. But then, how I look is, well, okay, if you've done this to me, how many other people are you doing it to that are up to no good? How many people are you setting up constantly to fail? I'll just get on with it. I go out, I go to this little place like
Xenia says the presenter needs to stop judging. I don't know whether she's sort of misinterpreted what I've said to you, Tony, but I don't think I've judged you at all. If you want to explain, Xenia, what you mean, I'm quite happy to chat about that. But I haven't judged Tony at all. I'm just trying to get the story out. But please, if you want to type in the comments what you mean. Sorry, Tom. Go on, carry on, buddy.
Yes, I just sort of get on with it now. I go to this place called The Hub, so I sit in there and talk to the staff there. And I go about my business. I go for walks, I visit places and that. And I come back here, I do my cooking, lay down and talk to my friends and on the phone, watch a bit of telly. And I just enjoy being out. I don't drive everyone mad. I don't think anymore about where I've come from. If I speak to one of my friends in jail, then they might be alone, but then obviously it's a bit of a reminder. But by and large now, my mind is away from all that.
What about
good? Well, it's over with. It's your past, Tony.
Yeah.
It's done.
I'm trying to think of things that you've missed out on in life. What about? I mean, are you allowed to leave the country?
Yeah, with permission.
So you could go on holiday to somewhere like Spain or somewhere like that?
Yeah. I've got what's called a residency clause. So I can stay out of, anybody can come and stay with me overnight, but for me to go and stay with somebody else overnight, then checks have got to be made. So like if I want to go and stay with one of my relatives, then what they have to do is they have to check the house out, check who lives there, their relationship to me. Is there any risk to all of us? Once they establish no, it could take months, and they'll give me permission to go there. But if I go there, like if I go to Basildon, because I've got certain restrictions, because not me or my family, like I say, my brother's a grass, so me and him don't talk and we don't get on. So because if I want to go down that way, then obviously other departments like the police and probation down that area have to get involved. But it does make it difficult. So like, I've been told that what's a reasonable time to have to be back in my property is 3:00. And they said it's reasonable to assume that 5 to 6 o'clock is a reasonable time to leave. So from 3 a.m. to basically 5 and 6 and that, I'm sort of unofficially under house arrest.
How long will this last for?
Be asleep anyway.
My residency clause will be there for life. That will always be in place. The frequency I see probation will lessen over a 2-year period, but that all depends on what my risk now is deemed to be low. And as long as it stays that way, then after about 2 years, then my visits to probation will cease. Now and then they may contact me just to see how I'm getting on. But I'm at weekly visits at the moment. That should, if all being well, go to fortnightly in the next month or so. That's what I'm hoping. I can travel anywhere in the country I want, as long as I'm back here by 3 o'clock in the morning. Or I can travel anywhere in the country I want, as long as I've got permission from my probation officer to travel there overnight.
So you could actually come up to my end of town and come and see the Lake District and have a walk around the Lake District and something like that.
Yeah, I'd have to be back by 3 in the morning. Yeah,
3 in the morning. But you couldn't.
Why?
You couldn't come sneaking on farms with me or anything like that.
No.
Oh, okay.
I've got when we all got all life license prisoners, when they come, they get a thing called
hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Hello.
You know,
No.
No, it's just
No,
Laura's
I'm
coming with me as well.
Yeah, you get a thing on all life license, because I'm on life license for life. So you get a clause in there as well. It's called you'll leave. I can't remember the actual fully the words. It was you'll believe a productive life and basically be of good character. And any breach of these conditions can lead to an automatic recall. Once you're recalled, it's not a matter of a couple of weeks back inside. It takes about 18 months for a parole board to resit and then decide if you're going to get out. So if you're going to get out again, you usually cut on recall. The average person serves about another 2 years. So time ain't on my side on that. So if I got out and went back in within 2 years of getting out, I'm nearly 60. So yeah, I have to.
We're having a party for you, Tony, outside the gates, mate, when you come out.
Yeah, I know, but I can't drink in there. I'll have any sandwiches.
No.
But like I said, but they leave me to my own devices.
I'll make you some whiskey trifle.
Yeah, or some whipped up chickpea water. I bet you're going to try that
just
one.
Get it down, yeah. Get that alcohol.
It is. Well, listen.
Honestly, it works a treat.
Listen, mate.
I bet you're going to try it.
It's been an absolute ball. I'm gonna wrap it up now. It's been great to hear your story, mate. I really want to congratulate you on coming to the light side and being on the right side of history late in life, like I am. It's a big. There's a massive community out there, mate, on Facebook, on YouTube, on all these people in the comments here. They're on most YouTube videos. We all join together. There's plenty of help. Any questions, any problems, mate, give us a shout. Any people out there who want a vegan baker, someone who's good at baking, get in touch with Tony on TikTok. I'll put the link to his TikTok in the comments. Please give him a follow. See what he's all about. And in a bit of time, maybe a year's time, we might see some vegan activism coming from Tony. We might see some stuff going on. But in the meantime, he needs to get his life in order. He needs to get used to the big wide world. Yeah. I can only wish you luck, mate. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today.
Good luck, Tony.
Yeah, thank you as well, both of you.
What have you got to say?
Thank you, mate.
What have you got to say about the trolls on TikTok? To the vegan activists, never ignore a troll. Always engage with trolls. Is that what you advice you give, Tom?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, anyone that trolls me on any of my things, I always put a comment back. Usually snide.
But never ban them. Always reply to them. Definitely, mate. Definitely.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
And listen, thanks,
if
Laura,
anything,
for coming on.
boost your algorithm.
Definitely.
That's okay. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me on.
So thanks for doing that. Thanks for not banning Tony, because he was sending you comments and everything. And it is a lesson out there, people.
Never.
The lesson is out there. the trolls are not always trolls. You know, unless they're attacking you personally, engage with them. No matter how stupid and how dumb they come across, keep engaging, because it might just be a roundabout way of
There's an
saying,
interest
I'm
there.
interested. Exactly. Yeah, troll lives
There's an
matter.
interest there.
It is. Well, listen, as usual.
Not.
Go on, sorry, Laura, carry on.
Sorry. I'm not even going to say his name because he's not worth it, but a major troll on plenty of vegan accounts on TikTok.
Oh, I know you
and
mean.
even a troll of Joey's. Yeah. I'm going to say his initials, MN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Know what I mean?
Yeah, Martin Nesbitt.
Yeah, that'll do. Halfway there. I keep saying to him, if you're not interested, there's a really, really good thing what you can do on TikTok. It's so useful. You literally go scroll, but he will not scroll. He continues to engage. He continues to, and I now out him now and say, look, you're vegan. You're vegan. I'm not fucking vegan. I'm not fucking vegan. I said, well, you are. Like, just admit it. You are. Just to wind him up, but. Yeah, I don't understand.
Always engage with them. But listen, thanks a lot, everybody. And should we do it, Laura? Save the animals.
Go on.
Save the animals.
Save the planet.
Save yourself. Go vegan, people. Peace.
Definitely.
Peace.